Okay, let's talk about Seattle.
What about it?
I went and nerded out for you guys, and I want to talk real quick about the predictions for the Seattle Metro. This year, what happened was when you compare year-to-date versus year-to-date, in the Seattle Metro, let's get real specific on it. That is, Pierce County, King County, and Snohomish County make up the Seattle Metro. Those are the three most densely populated counties in Washington, all right around Seattle. There's over 5 million people that live in that metro. When we look at the year-to-date numbers for any of those three counties in the metro, all three of them show negative year-to-date when you compare 22 to 23 year-to-date. What'd the Federal Reserve do to us last year?
Destroyed us with rates.
They hiked the fastest, like almost in history or in 40 years. I can't remember which one it is, but they basically hiked from 0 to 5.5 or 550 basis points, shot rates up. So last year, the Seattle Metro saw depreciation, prices falling at the end of the year. This year, though, when we look, and it doesn't matter if I look at the median or the average, all the medians, all the average, when we compare November to November, are up. When we look at wherever prices bottomed, in Snohomish County, they bottomed in February. So the average price in February of 2023 was $685,000. In November, it was $713,000, or up 4%. The median price in Snohomish County bottomed in January of 23 at $639,000. In November, it was $670,000, or up 4.7%. So that's Snohomish County. Pierce County, slightly more affordable. Average price bottomed in February at $540,000. In November, it was $579,000. So when we compare the bottom to the top in average price in Pierce County, we're up 6.9%. In the median price, bottomed in February at $500,000, up 3.4%. So Pierce saw the least amount of appreciation. Snohomish County came in second. In King County, this blew my mind. Like, I actually didn't think this happened, that the King County appreciated this much. King County, both on the average and the median, was at a low in January. So in January, it was $890,000 was the average price. And then in November, it was $981,000 for a 9.7% increase. It's almost 10%.
It's huge.
That's stupid. Technical term, stupid.
Dummy huge.
The median price in January was $725, November $784. So I put all these stats together and I kind of just ran a prediction. And this is my prediction, and then I'd love any of your questions real quick. I bet that Pierce County on average goes up, so average price goes up 4% next year. Snohomish County goes up 5%, and King County goes up 8.5%. That's an average of 5.83% across the metro, or we could just round up and call it an average of 6%. What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess my first question is, when I see the Seattle or hear the Seattle numbers, what are the numbers for their inventory? Is inventory driving these prices up, or did it hit a floor as it fell to where it reached a point to where there's enough buyers in that price range where it falls, but there's enough people on the sideline that it's like multiple offer situation and it comes back up, falls, multiple offer, you know what I mean? It like touches that floor. So what are the stats on the inventory?
The inventory during the latter part of 2022 started rising. And I think that was because of fear, as the Fed crammed rates through the roof, that, oh my goodness, this is 2008 again. Then what happened is, we did have that slight fall in prices. As that slight fall happened and the inventory rose, we did exactly like you said. We hit a base level of demand.
There's always a floor.
Bingo. And a base level of pricing. And the market said, that's a good deal, I'm gonna buy it. Then as the rate increases started calming down and rates started calming down. So I think the consumer reacted to the rate change. Then once rates were higher for longer, the consumer was like, 7's not that bad.
I know.
6.5's not that bad.
We can get in.
We can get in the door.
Yeah.
So that consumer, that rate became normal. And once that rate became normal, that started to then appreciate again. And inventory is slightly lower in 2023 throughout the whole metro than it was in 2022. And there's nothing coming to save us on the inventory side.
I mean, even when you're talking about the inventory numbers, even if inventory increased, we're still talking about such a small amount because inventory is already so low in this area. Like, it's obnoxiously low. And that's, I would be, if I had to bet, if there was a way where more inventory came into the market, it would bring home prices down. I think that is like one of the main legs that's propping up this stool is the lack of inventory.
9,000% agree.
Yeah. But really, it probably forever is going to be like that in this area because Western Washington is between the ocean or the sound and the mountains. There's really like everything just runs north and south in Western Washington, and you really can't build in a lot of areas. I mean, there's like huge wetland areas in certain areas. I mean, obviously that can be mitigated, but it's just not going to be.
Over our 20-year run of working with investors, builders, and developers, regulation of homes in the Seattle metro has done nothing but go up. So the cost to develop and the cost to build them has gone up because of increased regulation, increased timelines. And like we talked about earlier, the ease.
What do you mean by increased timelines?
You used to be able to get a land development application through faster. It takes longer. You used to be able to get building permits faster. They take longer. This morning, I was talking with Tony, my partner, and he said, hey, how long is the timeline in Everett right now to get a building permit? 12 weeks. So it's 3 months for you to get a building permit, but you got to do everything necessary before that to get it ready just to submit it. So 3 months later, they might give you a building permit. But here's what actually happens. At the end of 3 months, they say, oh, here's everything you did wrong. Go fix these 20 items.
Get back in line.
Get back in line. So then you come back for the review. So the reality is that timeline is probably minimum of 6 months, more like 9 months. And for the average consumer, someone who's not highly educated at it like we are, it's probably 12 months, year and a half. So nothing is coming to change that inventory because foreclosures aren't shooting up and regulation is getting stronger, which will cause home prices to always naturally rise. So interesting stat I'll throw in too. The average from the bottom, so if I take all of those numbers and I add the averages together, was a rise in the Seattle metro of 6.8% in average price. And then the median from the bottom was a rise of 5.2%. So when I say that my prediction next year is an average of 6%, I've kind of already baked that into the number. Things that will affect this prediction: inflation, interest rates, the economy. If the economy doesn't go through a major recession and the Fed lowers interest rate and the economy keeps humming along just like it is, we will see higher appreciation than this. Conversely, if inflation rears its ugly head, interest rates don't go down, the economy sucks, you could see below this. These numbers will change as new economic data comes out, as the economy changes, as the consumer changes behavior.
I think maybe nationally, like there could be areas that are going to get hit hard for that. However, I think the Fed is looking for those unemployment numbers and these certain indicators, and those might show up in different parts of the country that make it so that the Fed is like, okay, yeah, unemployment is at the rate that we need. We're going to start lowering rates because the economy is like hurt enough or whatever it is. I mean, really that's what they're trying to do is, for lack of better words, crush everybody's pockets.
Yep.
But they have to do that because so much money got put into the market during COVID.
Yes.
That it really, it's not real. So you gotta take it back because otherwise it has implications further down the road. But I think that locally in this area, unemployment and other things could get bad in those other areas. Like we were talking about, like in Illinois, for example, where my friend lived. It could show up there, but we may not feel it as bad here because of everything that's going on. I could be wrong, but that's kind of just my thought on it.
I totally agree.